Welcome to Mojoyminds.
This video looks at themes and influence in popular superhero stories. It's not about judging characters, creators, or fans, but about exploring what these stories quietly teach us about power, control, and responsibility. There's a reason some characters feel exciting in the moment but unsettling when you think about them later. And there's a reason others feel slow, heavy, even restrictive, yet strangely reassuring over time. That tension is exactly what shows up when we place Venom next to the Batman. Both operate in the shadows. Both exist outside normal systems. Both deal with fear, violence, and moral gray zones. But the way they relate to power could not be more different. Venom represents power without a clear boundary. It is not just strength, it is appetite. Hunger. Impulse. The symbiote does not ask whether an action is necessary, proportional, or wise. It reacts. It consumes. It amplifies emotion, especially anger and resentment. Venom's appeal comes from release. From the fantasy of no longer holding yourself back. Of letting the part of you that's tired of restraint finally take over. That kind of power feels honest at first. Raw. Unfiltered. It promises relief from shame and self-control. But it comes at a cost. Venom doesn't sharpen judgment, it overwhelms it. The host doesn't gain clarity. They surrender it. Over time, the line between protection and destruction disappears. Not because Venom is evil in a simple sense, but because it does not recognize limits. This is chaos that believes emotion is truth. The Batman lives on the opposite side of that equation. He is also driven by trauma, loss, and anger. But instead of letting those forces run unchecked, he builds structure around them. Rules. Rituals. Boundaries. The Batman does not remove his pain. He disciplines it. He uses control as a way to prevent becoming the very thing he is fighting. That discipline is not glamorous. It's lonely. It's exhausting. And it often looks cold from the outside. The Batman refuses to cross certain lines even when doing so would be easier, faster, or more satisfying. Not because he lacks the ability, but because he understands what happens when power forgets its limits. This is control that knows it can fail. What makes this comparison interesting is that neither path is comfortable. Venom offers freedom but erodes identity. The Batman preserves identity but at the cost of constant self-surveillance. One says, let go, you deserve this. The other says, hold the line, even when it hurts. In modern culture, Venom's influence spreads quickly. We live in a time that rewards emotional release over emotional regulation. Outrage travels faster than reflection. Reaction gets more attention than restraint. Venom fits perfectly into that environment. It validates the feeling first and worries about consequences later, if at all. The Batman's influence is quieter and harder to sell. It asks uncomfortable questions. Who watches the watcher? What happens when you justify harm in the name of justice? And how do you stop yourself from becoming addicted to control itself? His story doesn't promise relief. It promises responsibility. That difference matters because stories don't just entertain us. They rehearse us. They teach us what kinds of power feel normal, admirable, or necessary. When chaos is framed as authenticity, restraint begins to look like repression. When discipline is framed as integrity, chaos begins to look dangerous, even if it feels good in the moment. Venom asks us to trust the intensity of our emotions. The Batman asks us to question them. Venom blurs the line between protector and predator. The Batman draws the line and stands on it, even when it isolates him. Neither character is clean. Neither offers a perfect answer. But only one actively wrestles with the consequences of power instead of outsourcing them to instinct. And that's the real divide here. Not good versus evil, but impulse versus accountability. Not freedom versus control, but chaos without limits versus control that knows its own danger. If this perspective made you think, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments.
Garantangi. Till the next video.